Good afternoon, as the head coach likes to say. He looks right into the camera and says, good afternoon. The head coach hasn't had a particularly joyous week. The offensive coordinator hasn't had exactly a happy time either. I just came back from over at the Steelers headquarters, and there's nobody over there who's walking around with a smile. There's no music playing. Actually, to be honest with you, there aren't that many people in the locker room. There's not a whole lot of fun going on. There's nobody at the pool table. They were all over in the cafeteria eating. We had maybe 2 or 3 people to interview, including Ben himself, because he came over because it's his Wednesday thing. This is a team, your Pittsburgh Steelers, that looks like it's on the cusp of something either really interesting in terms of a dramatic turnaround or something really bad. And I think it's all going to swing on this Sunday game against the Chicago Bears. And from there, it's going to swing on how the running game, or if the running game gets back on its feet. Isaac Redman will have a lot to do with that. Isaac Redman will have a lot to say about that after the first segment. I want to start today with A.J. Burnett. A.J. Burnett tweeted something last night, well after the Pirates game, after their loss, another tough one to the Padres, that said something to the effect of, lots of empty seats. Lots! Exclamation point. That was it. He didn't say, I make $18 million and you should be forking over $25 a ticket, plus parking, plus nachos to come down here. That's not what he was saying. He also wasn't saying, wow, we didn't hit at all these 2 nights against the Padres. But if you had been down here filling these seats, we would have been slugging all over the place. We'd be comfortably in first place. This is your fault, Pittsburgh. He didn't say that either. He didn't come close. You have to understand that when these guys are in their insular little world, and that is what a sports team is, they're not going out and socializing. They're not hanging out with people. They live with their other 20 guys and change, and that's who they've got. That's who they talk to. That's who they interact with. That's what they see. So when they come out of the dugout and they look up and the first thing they see is huge sections of empty seats in right field and in left field, their only thought is, man, maybe people just don't care. They're not overthinking it. They're not complicating it. They're not over-processing, wondering about socioeconomic disparities between the athlete and the customer. All they're thinking about is their own little world. And you know what? That's actually where you want them. You want them thinking like that. You want them focused on the task at hand. That's AJ's thought process. And I can guarantee you this, that after 25 years in this business, that's how these guys think. All AJ cared about in that context of that tweet was to help create the best possible environment for the Pirates to succeed. It was one small piece of it. That's all. At the same way, you're going to hear from people. You're going to hear from players when they're there after a sellout crowd and they say, oh, this is great. You'll see it at those post-game things that Root Sports shows the guys right after they get the pie in the face and the guy standing there with the microphone and he says, what do you think about the crowd tonight? Oh, we love this. This is a big inspiration for us. We couldn't do it without you. Nobody ever balks whenever an athlete says that. So why is the reverse true? When the athlete just points out, hey, there were lots of empty seats. That's not a big deal. There's nothing that's a big deal about that at all. They want to have the best possible atmosphere. They want it for a reason. They want it because they feel it helps them win. And really, you know what they really like about it? They like that it makes the opponent feel uncomfortable. I'll take your calls on this at 412-320-7925. We're going to start with Brian in West Mifflin. What's going on, Brian?
Hey, not much, man. Just wanted to talk some baseball.
Let's hear it.
I just wanted to see. I just don't understand why everyone's making such a big deal about this whole A.J. Burnett thing. He's just trying to get people fired up.
Well, forget them. You tell me. Tell me what you think.
I'm all for it. I don't think there's, he's this is the first time we've made a run like this in 20 years, so he's just trying to get people to show up to the stands and give us the best chance to win, make it a baseball atmosphere again.
Let me ask you a question, Brian. Do you see any football games in person?
I do.
Okay. When you see those guys on a sideline, or even when the defense is on the field, you know when they do that thing where they're raising both of their arms like this?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you take offense to that? Do you say, hey, athlete, don't tell me what to do?
No, absolutely not.
Well, what's the athlete?
You shouldn't be at the game if you think that.
What is the athlete in that context trying to do? What's he trying to accomplish?
He's trying to get everyone fired up.
What a concept, huh?
Yeah.
Do you agonize, Brian, over any socioeconomic disparities between yourself and the athlete when he does that?
Absolutely not. That's
Honestly.
just ridiculous. And sometimes I go to the Penguins games and I think the same thing because everybody's so quiet there. It's like people don't get into it until they score a goal, and it's like, you know what? You need to get into it so that they do score a goal instead of just cheering when they finally get it done,
Exactly. Nobody told.
The same thing with the Pirates.
Exactly. Nobody told anybody how to spend their money or anything like that. Brian, I appreciate the call. We have Chris in Westview. We don't? We thought we had Chris in Westview. I just don't see where there's a big, explosion over this. I mean, maybe it goes back to, I've been hearing from people today, oh, what about that time in 1991 when we had empty seats and they were making fun of us on national TV over at Three River Stadium? We still agonize over that. We have this baseball wound about attendance. We really do. You don't hear it as much in other sports. And the only time actually attendance ever comes up in Pittsburgh, because the Penguins and Steelers sell all their games out, is related to Pitt football. And nobody agonizes over that. They just kind of poke fun at it. Roger in West Virginia. What's on your mind?
Hey, good afternoon, Dejan. Good to talk to you.
Hi, Roger. Go ahead.
Listen, I don't disagree completely with what AJ's saying, but he's given up lots of runs lately, lots, and I just think he needs to kind of focus more on his play.
Do you think, Roger, that in the context of that tweet, let me ask you this: do you think that in the time, how long do you think it took him to type that tweet?
Oh, 2 seconds.
Okay, so if he took 2 seconds out of his day to type that tweet, do you think that distracted him from his next start? I've heard this from other people. I'm just having fun here.
I mean, you make a valid point. I just kind of think it's like a Herm Edwards thing that you need to think before you do it.
You know what? He does. But what are some of the things that you like about AJ in the intangible sense? What are those things? I'm asking you. I'm not putting words in your mouth.
I love the fire and the passion that he brings, and he just seems like he cares. And it's been a long time since we've had a player for that matter, that just seems like he really gets fired up and is passionate about the team and the city. Right.
And do you think that this was more in that context than it was, boy, I've been pitching really badly lately, and I need to...
I do.
Do you see what I'm saying?
If it would have came from somebody like McCutcheon, I don't think it would be as big of a deal. I mean, But
AJ's the guy, Roger. He's the guy that came in here and turned around baseball from an emotional standpoint. He made it cool for the tough guys in this town to love it again.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, I refer to him as bad AWS. So
well, you keep that one to yourself. I appreciate the call, Roger. Thank you. Kevin in Tampa, you're on.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. I just have a question as a Steeler fan, huge Steeler fan down here in Tampa. I try to follow as much as I can with social media, what's going on up there.
You're not alone down there. I know that.
For the life of me, I can't figure out. It seemed like we had some moderate success in the first quarter with Felix Jones running the ball. Granted, it wasn't, burning any bridges or anything, but we were getting 3 to 4 yards. He was moving forward. And every time Redmond came in there and started getting carries, it was... I think it was the last 2 games, Isaac Redmond, I don't think I've ever seen an NFL running back run as poorly as he has. And I was just wondering where the logic was in taking the ball away from the quote-unquote hot hand in Jones and putting Redmond in for the majority of the rest of the game. Is there just that much loyalty with him being, diagnosed or, given the starting position? And
I don't think so. I don't think so, Kevin. In fact, if you ask me, the Steelers and Mike Tomlin in particular seem to be leaning toward Felix Jones. Mike Tomlin just glows about him. And this is a guy who's still really learning the playbook. I will agree with you that Isaac Redmond did not run well, and you'll hear that coming up in our conversation that's after this break that Redmond and I had just within the past hour. But I will not agree that Felix Jones did anything particularly special. I'm going to ask you, do you remember the run that he made through the middle for what I think it was a 3rd and 14 or something like that, and he ran for about 10 or 11 yards, popped right through the middle?
Yeah,
okay.
It was on the 3rd down play.
Do you remember what actually... And I know I'm challenging you here because you have to be really paying close attention here, but Ramon Foster came through the middle there and annihilated James Harrison, of all people, with a big block that set that hole up. All Felix Jones did was go Moses down the Red Sea. That was it. Mm-hmm. So I'm not prepared to say that Felix. What else? Let me ask you. What else did you see from Felix Jones besides that run that you liked?
I saw him hitting the line. I saw him not tiptoeing and dancing up to the line of scrimmage. He was getting the ball, and he was running with a full head of steam. You know, it might have only been 2-3 yards, but he was moving forward. It seemed like every time Redmond got the ball, it was stopped at the line of scrimmage.
I'm not going to argue with you that Jones looked better than Redmond. I just don't know that Jones can perform better than Redmond when Redmond's at the top of his game. And I think you're going to hear... Go ahead.
That being said, too, I think that I can't think of the guy's name, but number 61, the guy that they got from Tennessee to replace Pouncey, I was beyond impressed with the way he played coming in
Fernando,
with the week, practice.
Yeah, that's Fernando Velasco. He was with the Titans last year, and he's not a fluke. He played 13 games and played really well. There's actually one advanced scouting report that graded him higher than Marquise Pouncey last season. I appreciate that call, Kevin. Thank you.